Hi guys, welcome back. Scatlink here, and we're off for another update video. This one is going to be mostly scripted, so if I'm not looking at you, I apologise. I'm reading off of a script, so I respect your people's time, as well as get as much information out as quickly as possible. And first of all, please check the description, as I will now split update videos with timestamps, like I do with montages and stuff, so that you can get the news that you want to hear without watching the whole thing. So have a look down there, see what you want to watch, unless you're going to watch the whole video, in which case thank you. I feel like that despite in the last update video that I mentioned that videos would slow since we've roughly finished 3 projects back to back, that being A Link to the Past, 4 Swords and Shadow Man, that it would be a good time to take a break in this year of years. I feel like I need to apologise for the lack of videos and live streams, as I was planning to do at least one about Pikmin 2 Kaizo, because I was talking to EBTKS Paddy on our Discord server about it, leading up to these 10 days off that I had. Because the only videos that we've recently had has been the Hat in Time Challenge Roads, because, you know, they're limited time, barring the level compilation mod, that if it's kept up to date. And a couple of mods from the recent modding vacation modding jam, which fit the theme of summer. However, for the big video that we just recently had, I did however finish my Undertale 2D recreation on Super Mario Maker 2 just in time for Undertale's 5th anniversary, September 15th. And I do mean just in time, because if you haven't noticed on our Discord server, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, considering Toby Fox himself had Deltarune Chapter 2 info, as well as a full orchestral version of Undertale's soundtrack on livestream. How am I going to top that? Because of that, I wasn't sure what to do that would be substantial, and I was running out of ideas, so this would probably be the last year I would actually celebrate, and I would probably do it every 5 years or something, because, you know, Deltarune's now the focus. But then I remembered that when the creation craze happened on Animal Crossing New Horizons peaked, with recreations of A Link to the Past and Breath of the Wild's Hyrules, to name a few, and even Meryl made a map of a Fire Emblem game that I'm not entirely too sure because, you know, memes. And since I'm not an Animal Crossing person, and around the same time the World Creator Update happened on Super Mario Maker 2, and I was also on the way to becoming a Twitch affiliate, I did some chuck away streams on creating some of my Undertale 2D recreation courses, but I stopped due to, you know, from the previous update, life and such catching up with me. Link in the card. Well, I only went back to it about 4 days before September 15th. I got the levels done, my Bromaster Aaron did some playtesting, and after some last minute tweaks and testing, I was able to record the whole thing, upload the courses, edit the video, render and upload it all onto YouTube within a single day, and then I got all the tags and cards done literally before I went to bed. And then the 15th came along and I made it public. And considering that I was just starting Waterfall and then I finished the whole thing afterwards, I guess you could say I was determined. This was the big video that I had for this little 10-day holiday of mine. I'm going back to work starting tomorrow, but throughout October I'll have little smatterings of small holiday periods throughout October, so I can work on other stuff then, maybe a couple of live streams. But it wasn't all sunshine and relaxation. I mean, I was trying to tackle my backlog of games, starting with Xenoblade 2, which I have now finally finished, because I just wanted... it took me 3 years, on and off play, and I finally returned it to Meryl. I mean, I had returned it to him on and off anyway, but now I've actually finally finished it, which was good, because Sherlock Conroy has recently just mentioned that he's going to be... his next project's going to be Xenoblade 2, so that's quite hype. I've also finished Light Crusader on the Mega Drive Mini. I got bored trying to get the rare equipment drops on the 5th floor and the gold armor from the lily pads throughout the whole entire game, dungeon, whatever. So I just finished the game, and the final boss was easy anyway. He just sits there, you can just keep jumping and hitting him and he goes down easy. But the reason why it wasn't the most relaxing holiday is because the week before this holiday of mine, and there's not really any segue to say it, it's not a good time to say it anyway, so I had to mention it somewhere. And pretty much why I was mostly silent, I say mostly silent, I don't know. I mean, I've written this down, but I'm still freeforming in a way, because I'm still looking at it, because it's hard to get to it. My dog Max has passed away, and I won't get into the specifics, but it was slightly quick escalation of an internal problem native to German Shepherds, as he was part German Shepherd, part Staffordshire Terriers, the actual breed, so he was a crossbreed. Lived to 15. Lived to 15. And, yeah, he had to be put down. It was either that or potentially up to 6 weeks of being on a drip with infusions. So, he's been cremated. We have his ashes. I did mention Jack, my budgie, during Final Fantasy VI at the time, because he was in every video. Max wasn't, because, you know, if he came in, he catches the wires and things glitch up, blue screen and all that. He did show up in a couple, I think, like maybe live streams or something. Maybe you could hear him barking in the background, perhaps. But yeah, I wasn't too sure when to mention it, because I was like, well, I can't mention it, like, starting a project, and Jack was, you know, sitting roughly around here, and obviously it's like, I can't just, like, continue making videos, and, like, there's no chirping in the background, you know, so I had to mention that, and, yeah, now Max is gone, and I didn't know how else to mention that in a way, so I have to mention an update video, just so you guys know what's been going on. But yeah, that's why it's been a bit slow around here. I'm fine, we're fine, he's still technically here. I don't know how much of this is getting cut out, if it's too much chopped. This is just mostly a spout, because I've got no more notes, but it's just I'm trying to work my way out of it. So, yeah, I think I'm going to work away from now, because it's not all doom and gloom though, as Kazuaki Sake has put together a Pokemon Draft League involving us of the Nerdhood and others in our Discord group in some competitive Pokemon battling via Pokemon Showdown. This is going to be similar to my Pokemon Battle Bash sub-series, where that focuses on battles on official games just for fun, just like, yeah, let's just have a Pokemon battle, let's just record it, have some fun. It was also an excuse to experiment with 3DS capture. But this is more about esports, competitive play. We will have a separate video explaining how all this is going to go down in the near future after this video's release. It will be going through all the rules, our team setup and all that. And Kieran will go into detail on what the rules actually are, because he knows, because he's the brains of the outfit. Let's just hope that nothing goes wrong, because Pokemon collabs seem to be cursed involving us too. Just chucking that out there. In terms of main Let's Play projects, you might remember I was debating if I wanted to start Prince of Persia Sands of Time via the HD trilogy on PS3, because, you know, 1080p. And I decided to hold off for the time being. And it's a good thing I did, because it was recently announced by Ubisoft that a full-blown remake is in the works. I'm not exactly a fan on how the prince's face looks. It could be touched up a bit before release, but then again, upon further looking, he does look similar to the person who played him in the Disney film, which is based off the game, which would make sense, considering the much more graphical style of it. It looks more, you know, realistic in a way. Photorealistic graphics. But I do prefer the game's original sharp style, because his eyes are like sharp and piercing, he's got the pointy chin, it just looks better in a way. It has its own unique style, and of course that style was brought over for Assassin's Creed, which then, you know, the Prince of Persia games kind of just stopped. It's a good thing I have the whole set though, innit? Actually, going off script, he kind of actually looks like how he does in the Forgotten Sands, which is supposed to take place in between Prince of Persia Sands of Time and Warrior Within, so this is like supposed to be in between these two, so, and then it goes to the Two Thrones, which those two games have different names depending on the system, and that's just confusing, and why have you got to be complicated. Getting back on topic, speaking of the graphical changes matching the film and all that, the Dagger of Time seems to match the film's design. Yeah, I do have one of these. I'm all about time and all that, and this is pretty awesome. But yeah, it looks more gold than the original game's blue, so, but, and again, with the graphical style, that might be what they're going with. But then again, the film also goes in a slightly different manner to how the game does. It doesn't take place within the palace entirely. They actually go off for a bit, like get out the palace and then make their way back or something. Or the hourglass is actually moved, I think, by Jafar, so, or the Vizier, I think he's called in the film, because, you know, Disney, they don't want to be mixing their Jafars up, do they? It comes out starting 2021, on July 21. Plus, the remake does actually include the secret to unlock the Macintosh port of the original Prince of Persia 1, which the PS3 remaster removes for some reason, and if I was covering this version as I was planning to, because again 1080p, I would have had to go back to the PS2 original release of Prince of Persia Sands of Time, because only the original releases, being PC, PS2, GameCube and Xbox, have the Macintosh secret available. but it's just an unbreakable wall in this version. I guess they just didn't want to give you 4 games, but then again, you could use the password anyway, so it's a bit weird. And that means that in the remake, the Macintosh port of the original POP should be also upscaled to 1080p as well, which is a huge bonus because, you know, if I try to play this version, it may not work with the component cables, it will still be interlaced, and then I got to de-interlace, and it's going to be a pain, it won't look as good, and it will also probably be stretched and blurry. So I've got that to look forward to, so that's a lot less effort there. I don't have to play the same game twice. Although, I might want to brush up anyway, and see if there's any difference between the two in terms of puzzles, or where the sand clouds are, and differences with achievements with the PS3 version, and yeah, this is actually going to be more work than I thought. But this does mean that this project will be on hold until after 1/21/21. I did say I was going to hold off on it, glad I did. Remake is a thing, so this is on the back burner into next year. Before that though, I have been working on my notes for Kingdom Hearts 358 Days Over 2, but I need to work in both a Rechain of Memories HD and Rechain of Memories HD Reverse Rebirth to make sense chronologically, as all 3 stories of Kingdom Hearts all happen in the same span of time across the same year. And since I won't be going out of my way to 100% Rechain of Memories HD because of the Heartless cards, which I can just go to one of my other completed files to show that off, because it's just nothing but grinding, and make sure that you knock out that one Heartless as the final enemy, I'll be able to cover the additional bonuses as well as the differences of the original Chain of Memories as well. This will also allow us to get to Kingdom Hearts 2 a bit faster, as well as, you know, offset the monotony of 358's gameplay structure. Also, just a small announcement, I will be joining Blue Hedgehog Man 17 in a 96 exit co-op playthrough of Super Mario World via the Nintendo Switch Online app. It's just gameplay, no commentary, and I'll probably suck because I'm not the best with 2D Marios, as we're all aware. I'm Luigi, he's Mario, and I know a few secrets, so it shouldn't be too bad. It's mostly just for fun, as I haven't actually used the online feature of the NES and SNES games yet, but he's recording it, so when it's available, go check it out. In gaming news, Nintendo has finally dropped some directs, including stuff for Mario's 35th anniversary, like with the Super Mario Bros. Game & Watch, which includes the original Ball, Super Mario Bros. And Super Mario Bros. The Lost Levels. I'll probably do a separate video talking about 3D All-Stars, because despite potentially getting it today, because today's the 18th, it should be coming out today, the day I'm recording this, upon the announcements, I, like many others, have a few gripes with it that I want to discuss. Not only that, but Zelda Breath of the Wild 0, aka Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, has been announced. That's a thing, it's already a trilogy, and the only official trilogy of Zelda games before this was Wind Waker, Phantom Hourglass, and Spirit Tracks. Not only do they share the same style, but they literally reference the previous game's events in a storyboard fashion. Not only that, but this also means we now have a canonical Hyrule Warriors game. But if you played Breath of the Wild already, or you just know of the premise of the game, maybe watch the intro or something, it kind of spoils how the prequel will end. I mean, the champions are dead, you play Breath of the Wild, you're in the Chamber of Resurrection. It's literally the first thing that happens when you boot up the game, and that spells it out for you outright. Also, this is pretty much what we all wanted when we first knew about Breath of the Wild's second DLC being the Champions Ballad, and 2 months before release was the initial announcement. That means Nintendo kept this hidden extremely well, considering that they had a massive leak of multiple different information earlier this year, and it didn't get leaked at all, unlike with 3D All-Stars, where it was rumoured to have 4 games, and yet it only has 3, because Galaxy 2 is excluded. Again, gripes. Speaking of leaks, the amount of speculation of specs and prices of the PS5 and the Xbox Series X consoles has been insane throughout the year, with next gen looming upon the horizon. It's not that surprising, and I won't be going into too much detail about it, but all we really need to know is that the PS5 with the disc drive seems to be roughly about £450, which will be the same as the Series X, but the digital only non-4K budget Series S is about almost half the price at £250, which is pretty good if you do not have a setup that involves 4K gaming, or if your money's a tad bit tight but you still want to experience the games, because they're building the games in a similar manner to how it is on PC, where you have the ability to clock down certain things like resolution, aspect ratio, and even frame rate texture quality, stuff like that, in order to make it run on less superior hardware, because computers are different between everybody. So you get the same game, it's just scaled down a bit so it can work on the Series S, but because the Series X also has extra power, there may be a few exclusives that require that extra power to actually run. However, going back to Nintendo, and a good segue since next gen is on the way, last gen takes its leave after 9 years. The 3DS as a whole has ended production of new hardware just yesterday, the 17th of September. There goes my wish of an Undertale theme and a port for the system. Why, Toby Fox? I really wanted an Undertale theme so it can match my decals of the new 3DS plates, because even if the game wasn't on 3DS, the Switch version could have included a 3DS theme, like how the PS Vita and PS4 versions have themes for their respective consoles. Actually, saying that, Steam actually offers themes for your profile if you spend Steam points, which you earn by purchasing stuff on Steam, so even they have their own equivalent of themes. But the Switch still only has light and dark modes. Seriously? I mean, just give us basic colours. Give us yellow, give us green, give us blue, give us red. Make it a Mario Switch. I think I can say without a shadow of a doubt that the 3DS is one of my most favourite systems. I mean, Ocarina of Time remade on the go. The unique 3D without glasses, which I did actually use quite often in its early years, including the camera, especially when it gained the ability to record in 3D. We got the original Gen 1 and Gen 2 Pokemon games on the Virtual Console, with trading kept intact and a way to transfer them to later generations, unlike before. Fully backward compatible with DS and DSiWare software that doesn't include any GBA stuff for the GBA slot, since it's lacking one because of backwards compatibility. Unless you were a 3DS ambassador, as I still have those 10 exclusive GBA Virtual Console downloads, as I was an early adopter of the system back when it had a terrible launch. I mean, I got Pokemon Black, a DS game, with my Cosmo Black. And yeah, it's in the case, I'm not getting it out because it's got a damaged screen, if you remember back in the past. And the eShop wasn't even a thing upon launch, but despite that, it became Nintendo's backbone as it gave Samus her true return, and Shantae a decent platform for her entire series at the time, up to Pirate's Curse, and the Wii U was left to struggle and be forgotten. Yet we still remember the Virtual Boy as it's constantly referenced during the 3DS's lifespan. What with appearing in Tamagotchi Live and the 3DS depth making it the perfect platform to re-release the whole Virtual Boy on the Virtual Console, but that never happened for whatever reason. I think that was the only missed opportunity the system actually had. That, and without, modding, there was no way to capture footage directly from the system. Other than that, I cannot think of any negatives this system has. You don't need the 3DS function, as they introduced the 2DS, which removed that function as a kid-friendly and budget option. They made improved versions, like the new 3DS, with built-in Soccerpad Pro for extra buttons and extra RAM for bigger and more taxing games like Fire Emblem Warriors 3D, Xenoblade Chronicles 3D, and Binding of Isaac Rebirth 3D. They're all ports. They're all ports. As well as Super Nintendo, because it could only be played on these ones instead of the original, so that's very weird, because I still don't know why that is exactly the reason. But again, the Virtual Console, which other than NES and the aforementioned SNES games that were on here, this gave us Sega Game Gear, Game Boy, and Game Boy Color for the first time, which included rare titles such as the Game Boy Color D-Makes of Donkey Kong Country, Rayman, and the only way to officially download the original Shantae at the time, because it's coming to the Switch physically and digitally through limited run games. I actually made a video of Shantae mentioning that actually, and I still want a remake of Shantae 1, which they have been discussing. But yeah, it's a bit of a sad thing that, the 3DS has finally come to an end. Almost a decade of life, which is insane. And then you have, like, the additional, 7 years of life that the original DS, with the transition with the DSi had as well, because you can download DSiWare titles on here, at least most of them. It's insane, because you can get all the Game & Watch games to download as well, even though they weren't under any official banner, they were just DSiWare. You could download the original Game & Watch games. Actually, I have the original ball right here. I don't even need the Mario version, but hey, I might get the version because I do have the Legend of Zelda Game & Watch on my shelf. Which, funnily enough, probably inspired the design of the original DS in the first place. Look at this. It's a dual-screen Game & Watch. You got your map on the top screen along with the boss arena, and all the other rooms are on the bottom. It was the prototype for the DS. Probably similar to how the original Game & Watch ball design was probably the inspiration for the design of the Game Boy Advance. But I think that is everything I've had to mention at this time. To overview, I've had a loss, dear Max. I finally got through Xenoblade 2, which was actually good timing, as Showa Conroy's next project is in fact Xenoblade 2, so that's hype. Nintendo's ended the 3DS, but has announced a Breath of the Wild prequel, making Breath of the Wild a trilogy already, because we already know a sequel is in the works. Next-gen console prices are confirmed, and other than planning future projects and the announcement of Prince of Persia: Sands of Time getting a full remake, which pushes that idea back as well, I'll probably be sticking with the occasional live stream, either being a board stream, Pikmin 2 Kaizo, or something for Halloween, potentially. I'm not doing Shadow Man Second Coming until next year, potentially, because we just finished Shadow Man 1 this year. That was last year's Halloween, and that went on for quite a bit. And, you know, we've also got the remaster of Shadow Man 1 coming soon next year, with restored content as well. Other than that, stick around for the start of the Pokemon Draft League that Kieran has put together. Be sure to subscribe, join our Discord, follow me on Twitter, and with that, see you guys then.